Hey guys, today I decided to replace the power steering rack or the gearbox on my Honda Civic. This is a 2007 Honda Civic EX. So I'm in the middle of doing this. I couldn't find any videos online, so I decided to do it myself and post one and hope that this helps you. This one is the old steering rack or the gearbox, and this is a newer used one I got from parts store, so we're going to be putting this in there. Okay, so I came up with 10 steps as to how to do it, and I hope this helps. So step number one, lift up and put the car on jack stands, safety stands right here. Step number two, remove the U-joint. That is the U-joint from the driver's side steering wheel. That is the U-joint where it connects to the steering rack, and it is held there with this 10mm bolt that goes right over here. The bolt looks like this guy right here, and it is a 10mm bolt, so you just have to unscrew, remove that, and then it'll still stay there, so you would just have to pry it up or push it up with a screwdriver or some kind of a tool to remove that, separate the thing. Okay, step number three, you're gonna have to remove both tires, front tires, left and right. And next, you're gonna have to remove tie rod ends. You could leave them on there, but it's gonna make your job of replacing the steering rack difficult. As you can see, I removed both sides, left and right. So you do that. Number five, remove control arm driver only. Okay, this is why this piece is difficult, because you have to remove the subframe, which is which holds the lower control arm on both ends. And I'm not a professional mechanic, I don't have all the tools to do this. So what I did is a little cheating sort of to make it easier. I didn't remove the entire subframe, I just removed the driver's side screws, and I have the right side hanging loose. You can kind of wiggle and jiggle the thing right here, so it basically makes my job of putting things back together a little easier. So the step five, you're gonna have to remove the three 17mm bolts right here. They are connected to the suspension system right over here. So this is the lower control arm where it joins the suspension and the steering knuckle connected to the wheel. You're gonna have to remove those three 17mm bolts, and once you remove the bolts, you have to pry it down and remove it from the suspension right over here. Okay, step number six. The subframe has two giant bolts, 17mm right here. One on the front connects right over here, and there's one on the rear. It's mounted, goes right here, so you're gonna have to remove both of those. Your job here is to lower your subframe at this point. There's also L-shaped joint. It's a little hard to see. This is the suspension, and you go right over here. Right over here. This is the U-joint where it holds the subframe from right over here to mounts it on the vehicle. So you're gonna have to unscrew that to lower the subframe. Step number seven, you have to disconnect the two hoses from the power steering rack and put a bucket under it. So the two hoses are connected to, this is the old power steering rack. There's a hose that goes right here with a clamp, and that hose is, let's see, right, this one, this guy right here. You have to disconnect that. And the second hose, there's two hoses because one goes in, the other one, the fluid flows out. This one, I believe it's 18mm bolt, and the end is right, this guy right here. Hope you can see it. You just have to unscrew that. It's not that tight actually, it's just hard to reach. So you remove those two things. That was step number 7. Okay, next, step number 8, you have to loosen the 17mm subframe bolt on passenger side as well. So let me show them to you. It's on the passenger side. There is one, the front one right here. So the whole thing, you have about an inch room there. Beyond that, it's gonna just fall off. So be careful, watch for that. And the whole time I had the jack, the hydraulic jack, supporting the driver's side so that the thing wouldn't fall on the floor. And this is what you need to remember on passenger side. Leave the front one on for about an inch hanging loose, and then the rear one, you can remove the 17mm bolt completely. It's right over here connected, so I have it removed from the rear side. Okay. Now I did not disconnect the lower control arm on the passenger side because the power steering rack comes out from the driver's side, and you don't really have to remove the whole thing. I mean, the subframe doesn't have to be removed. Okay, step 9, you're gonna remove the two, just a second, let me check my notes here. Okay, next, step number 9 is we're gonna have to remove, there is two 17mm bolts that are holding this power steering rack, connect them to the subframe. So there's one on the front, you're gonna have to remove that, and one on the rear, you're gonna have to remove that one. And they also have a support, small metal mount that is also connected with a 14mm bolt. Looks like this guy right over here. Okay, this is the rear side, so you're gonna have to loosen the 14mm. You don't have to remove them completely. And the front side, there's a 14mm here, and that's where the 17mm connect, go in and hold the power steering rack mounted on tightly to that subframe. Okay, next you're gonna also have to remove this side right here, this rubber joint. It's got this, let me see, this guy mount, and basically it's holding this piece right there with two 14mm bolts on each side, just like that, and that's connected to the subframe. So you're gonna have to remove that. That's your step number 9. Okay, once you got those removed, you're ready to remove the steering rack, but it's not gonna come out yet because you need to lower the subframe a bit more. So in order to do that, you're gonna have to remove, there's two 17mm bolts. You're gonna have to remove them from, they call it the torque rod bracket, and I'll try to show it to you where it is. Okay, just a sec. Basically, shoot, where is it? Okay, that thing looks like this right here. Okay, this is connected to the engine oil pan on this side right here, and the other side is connected to the subframe, and it has two 17mm bolts that are connected to that oil pan. So in order to lower the subframe further down, you're gonna have to remove these two 17mm bolts from each side. That's your step number 10, and that's the last step. And you wiggle and jiggle and lower the subframe more, some more, and then this power steering rack comes out easily. So when you're pulling it out, you have to turn it slightly to the left, to the right, and I believe it's about 40 to 50 degrees left angle. You just pull it out, and once you have it removed, the rest is pretty much the same steps backwards. You're gonna have to put the new one in there, and yeah, that's it. I hope this helps. The biggest step here is lowering the subframe. Without removing or lowering your subframe, you're not going to be able to remove the power steering rack. This is the same steps for models from 2006 through 2011. And I hope this video helps you guys. I'm not a professional mechanic. I just do small things on my own. And hope this helps. Thank you for watching.